You're listening to Got Your Six Leadership Forged in Fire. I'm Dr. Traci, a retired U.S. Army officer turned business strategist. This is where I bring real talk, real leadership lessons, and battle tested tools that shaped me as a leader and continue to shape the leaders I coach today. Each episode gives you clarity, courage, and the confidence to lead with intention. Whether the battles you face are in business, at home, or within yourself, let's lock in, get honest, and lead like it matters.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Got Your Six. I'm Dr. Traci, retired U.S. Army officer, immersive keynote speaker, business strategist, leadership coach, and founder of the Battle Tested Leadership Methodology. This podcast is for leaders who want to do more than hold a title. It's for leaders who want to show up differently at work, at home, and in life. Every week, I bring lessons from leadership, military experience, business strategy, and real world execution to help you eliminate chaos, create clarity, build lasting momentum in your lives. Today is a little different. I know I say this often in my podcast, but today is no guest, no interview, just me, the solo act for this week, right? Because there's a topic that keeps coming up over and over again in conversations with business owners that I have, executives and managers, even actually leaders. And honestly, I think we're making things a lot harder than they need to be. So let's talk about this. One of the biggest mistakes I see leaders make today is this: they spend all of their time studying surface level problems, what they can see, what is in their face. Almost none of them take the time studying the causes, the symptoms. They never get the shovel out and start digging. I think they're afraid of what they might see underneath. The client leaves, employee turnover increases, projects fail or fall behind, or they fail, communication breaks down, and profit starts slipping, or even better, productivity decreases. Am I right? These are things that happen, but they're all surface level. Get that shovel out, y'all, and start digging. Immediately, people in this situation jump into reaction mode. Am I right? Meetings start happening, people start talking, everyone has an opinion, everyone has a freaking feeling. And before long, we're discussing everything except the actual problem. The high level problem becomes the conversation. We don't dive deep and discuss the symptoms. The cause gets ignored. All surface level conversations. When I see this happening, and I see it often every week, I wind up talking to a person, whether it's a client, whether it's somebody I'm just talking to about business on the go, like at an event or walking around for that matter. And what I find fascinating is that history repeats itself. History has already solved this problem. I love history, so I'm going to let you know many of my podcasts, I dive into history, especially when it comes to my stories. But here we go. Let's dive into this. Thousands of years ago, somehow we have forgotten things that have happened even that long ago. When people think about Spartans, they think about warriors, they think about combat, they think about battle. But Sparta wasn't successful because they had strong warriors. Now, don't get me wrong, they were strong dudes, right? Sparta was successful, though, because they had systems. Everything they did was intentional, everything had a structure, everything had a purpose. Their military strategy wasn't separate from their government. Their government wasn't separate from leadership, and their leadership wasn't separate from accountability. Everything was connected in the way they did things. The same strategic thinking that was used on the battlefield was used to govern their society. They understood something many leaders miss today. Isn't that crazy to think about? Outcomes are produced by symptoms, but yet we always focus on the surface level problem. Outcomes are produced again by symptoms, not emotions, not temporary motivation. Systems. Let me say it again because I love this word. It correlates with the strategic work I do all the time. Having systems in place can change your world. Spartans didn't want to wait until they were under attack to decide how they would respond to something. The strategy existed long before the battle ever arrived. That is exactly how successful organizations operate. They have plans in place. One of the lessons I learned during my military career came from planning operations. People often imagine military leaders sitting around waiting for something to happen and then reacting. They couldn't be further from the truth or further from reality, even. The majority of our time was spent planning, reviewing, analyzing, forecasting, assessing risk. Those of you that know me know I love a good risk planning session. Am I right? Identifying weaknesses is paramount, as well as creating contingency plans and looking for potential failure points. Because once things start moving, it is often too late to build a strategy at all. You execute the strategy you already built because it's set in your mind. I remember situations where teams wanted to focus on immediate problems right in front of them. The broken process, the delayed timeline, the obstacles, right? Experienced leaders would ask different questions. Hence why I love my thought provoking questions, y'all. If you don't know about that, find that podcast. It's a whole thing. But experienced leaders love different questions. They ask, what's causing this? What condition existed that allowed this to happen? Where did the failure begin? Because solving the visible issue only creates temporary relief, again, surface level. Solving the cause, the symptom, creates lasting improvement. Business owners do this all the time. Revenue drops, they assume it's marketing. Employees leave, they assume it's loyalty. Projects fail, they assume it's performance. You know what? Sometimes they're right on that, but many times they're wrong because looking at surface level issues, not the root cause, not the symptoms, is where this all develops. I've worked with organizations where employee turnover looked like a hiring problem, but it wasn't. It was a leadership inconsistency. I've seen organizations convinced they had communication problems, but they didn't. They had accountability issues. They had issues with people understanding the expectations. I have seen companies blame employees for poor execution. Now, sometimes that is true, especially if you've given the proper expectation and they're not following it. That correlates with poor execution, but that's not the majority of the time in the conversations I have with people. When the real issue was a complete lack of systems and clarity, the system wasn't the problem. The system was the evidence. One thing the Army taught me very early in my career was the emotions and outcomes are not the same thing. That doesn't mean people don't matter, though, y'all. You need to listen. And it doesn't mean that emotions don't matter because people absolutely matter. Leadership matters. Culture matters. Even relationships matter. But feelings cannot become the primary decision-making framework, not in the military and not in business, because feelings change. Data doesn't. Evidence doesn't. Outcomes don't. There were missions I felt confident about that had serious weaknesses when I reviewed them. Thank God I always reviewed them before I ever took action on it. There were missions I felt uncertain about that were strategically sound. But fortunately, again, I review things, so I felt fine when it was time to use that strategy. How I felt, though, about the situation wasn't what determined the success. Preparation did, strategy did, execution did, and business is no different, y'all. No different at all. This is where I definitely challenge some people. Businesses today spend an incredible amount of time discussing feelings, how everyone feels, how the company feels, how the team feels, how the business feels. Meanwhile, nobody is reviewing operational data. Sometimes people do. I don't like black and white scenarios, but honestly, too many times, no one is reviewing systems. They're not reviewing strategy enough. Nobody is reviewing execution. I talk to people and they'll say, oh, we do a quarterly review on execution and strategy. Quarterly review, hello, you're already behind the timeline. Nobody's asking these hard questions. The reality is organizations are not built on feelings. Organizations are built on outcomes. Identity is where this comes in. Healthy leadership considers people. Strategic leadership produces results. The strongest leaders know how to do both. So here are the questions and thoughts I want to leave you with this week. I want you to sit with these questions. What problem are you currently trying to solve that may actually be a symptom? This could be personally and professionally. What are you treating on the surface because it's easier than getting that shovel out and investigating the cause. If you slowed down long enough to look deeper, what would you discover? Because history teaches us something very important. Leaders who consistently succeed are rarely the ones who react the fastest. And remember, when I say leaders, I mean any human that's in charge of people and things. Leaders who consistently succeed are rarely the ones who react the fastest. Leaders who consistently succeed are also usually the most quiet in the room. They don't need to be the loudest. They're the ones who understand situations the deepest. Spartans understood it. Military leaders understand it. The best business leaders I know understand it. The symptom is the problem. The surface level ideas are not. The symptom is the clue. You've got to dig beyond the surface. If today's episode resonated with you, I know this was a short one, but I just had this thought because I keep talking about it. And I had the thought about Spartans and I wanted to throw that out there to share that with you because I think too many times we're just not reflecting on history. So if today's episode resonated with you, I have created a free leadership workbook to help you identify symptoms, uncover hidden operational issues, and create strategic action plans. You can grab it using the link in the show notes. It's completely free and designed to help you start thinking like a strategic leader instead of a reactive operator. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. If you found value in today's episode, make sure you subscribe or leave a review and share this episode with another leader who you feel like really needs to hear it. And if you're ready to go deeper, I invite you to join one of my leadership communities. These communities are designed for people who want practical leadership development and real world application in a room full of other leaders that help hold each other up, help hold each other accountable, and support one another through this growth. I don't care what level in life you are at, business owner, executive, strategic leaders, stay-at-home parents. I don't really care. I have membership groups for each one of you. If you're ready for a higher level conversation around growth, operations, leadership, business strategy, anything, I have a community for you. You'll find the links to everything in the show notes. Until next time, remember, leadership isn't about holding the position. It's about showing up for the people that depend on you. Remember, I've got your 6. I'll see you next time.
Leadership isn't found in comfort. It's forged in fire. Life will test you. When you create stability through your choices, you don't just calm the chaos, you build momentum. Stay steady, stay strong, be decisive, and most of all, lead with intention. And remember, I've got your 6.